Yeah, so absolutely excited to have Deloyd Elze on the podcast today, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your morning. How have things been going for you?
They've been going good. I got myself a French press gun, you know, little things to start the day. Music wise, playing some shows later this year, working on a record, kind of the whole nine. Yeah.
Yeah. So the place I start with almost everybody is, what kind of music did your parents listen to growing up? And kind of when you found your own ear, what music did you kind of gravitate towards?
So my dad was kind of like a child of the 60s, and then my mom was a child of the 80s. So all of their stuff was I remember in our house there was like an upstairs room and there was a like bookshelf that was just covered with CDs and cassettes. So it was anywhere from like Allman Brothers, Jimmy Buffett to like REM, Devo, like
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And I I think I was probably about 13 before I like kind of came online to
Yeah.
music. And my mom had this turquoise iPod Nano, and I remember seeing kids like on the bus, like they'd pull out their iPods, and I was like, I feel like I'm being left out. I feel like
Yeah.
everyone's kind of hip to this thing.
Yeah.
So I grabbed hers, and I get on the bus, and I just like I didn't know like any of the bands, so I just started it at the top, and it
Yeah.
was AC/DC.
Classic.
I just yeah, I just remember the moment of like I was like, oh whoa, like I like really like this.
Yeah.
Um, And then it started to become like couldn't get enough of it. I was like going just down, literally alphabetically down
Yeah.
the
It's
list.
amazing.
Yeah, and then so that was probably like up until maybe even high school. Like I was kind of listening to a lot of older music, like nothing really contemporary. And then I think it was probably honestly like when I got to school, like I went to school in Boston, and I was around a bunch of different like just kids from all these different other places, and so they were just like, "Oh, you should check out this band. You should check out this band," and it kind of just fell from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mm.
was your mom's iPod Nano properly set up? I can't tell you the amount of time I spent uh like making sure all the artist names were like properly put in there and the albums look good. Like I spent the crazy amount of time doing that as a kid.
Yeah.
It was
Uh, oh, yeah, no, she just, I don't even really think she didn't really care, and I don't think I knew.
right.
So I would be like, if the album or the artwork never matched, but I'm sure you probably feel the same way, where I would just like go on iTunes and just like preview stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it just, yeah, like not even like buy anything. I would just be like, oh, do I like this? Do I like this?
Yeah.
And even with like the movies, I would just like watch the previews for movies like for hours.
Yeah, I was putting music on. I did end up in like an iTunes phase, but man, this was like LimeWire, Napster
Yeah,
type stuff where you had to like you would get the names of the songs with like people's like tags at the end that you had to change completely. Like it was like the Wild West, kind of growing up listening to music like that. Um, so you have a good amount of music out so far, and I think after listening through it all, I think my favorite song of yours at the moment is a song called "Rite of Passage," and I would just love
hmm
to hear kind of the story behind that song and yeah, just kind of how it came to be.
sure. Uh, so before this spot that I'm living in now, I lived in a neighborhood in LA called Boyle Heights, and I was living in this house with like I think at the very end I think it was like five other people, and the rent was relatively cheap. But we had this garage. The biggest selling point to me was there was a garage where you could make music and you could hang out, and
Yeah,
it was kind of like really like everybody in the house could use it, but like the two people who probably used it the most were like me and my other friend Estelle. And I at this point was like I had a friend of mine who was running this like sample label called New Lab, and he had tasked me with just essentially like making a bunch of samples like to go eventually like on Splice. And so one night I kind of had this goal where I was like, okay, like every night like I'm gonna write I don't know four like just tracks or whatever.
yeah,
And then I'm like sitting down, just like playing away at something, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, this isn't like a sample. This is like a song. This is like coming from me.
Yeah.
Uh, all of a sudden, like I done there's so in the song there's like this kind of like synth arpeggiation thing that's going on, and then there's like kind of a drum weird sort of thing that's happening, and this guitar part, and I had gotten it on its legs. I had like, okay, like I don't know what this is, but I gotta like make this into something,
Right.
otherwise I'm gonna lose it. And I think I looked at the clock and it was like midnight, and I was like, okay, like I can't leave, otherwise I'm gonna lose the inception of the idea. So I have to like write this song, and I just started like to word vomit just over the entire thing, and uh, I got to a point where I did a pass, and I was like, okay, like I don't know, like I'm trying to say something, and so I would go through the things that like I was like kind of. It was almost like a exercise of like just subconscious,
Yeah.
stuff that was coming out. So I like kind of pick it together and eventually make it into something that makes sense. And I was like, okay, all right, I did it. And then I looked at the clock and it was 3 a.m. and I was like, okay, I should probably go to bed.
Yeah. Probably a good time.
This is diminishing returns at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's at my hard drive. Was kind of like didn't know what it wanted to become, if it was going to be like a song that was going to get put on this record. And then we ended up going out to a friend's studio out in Joshua Tree, and ended up just like cutting like all the basics there. And I mean, I think in total for that song it was maybe 2 days of just like tracking, and then everything else was just to mix, which to me is crazy. I feel like most things like take a long time, but this was just super fast.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the best songs come from that, right? Just being able to kind of put it all out there and but yeah, I mean, having the origin story like that, where just kind of sad, and you worked on it for the whole night. It
Mm.
feels kind of insane, honestly. Like I don't think people realize too sometimes the amount of hours and time that'll go into a song, even if it's just like sits
Mm.
there forever. It's been like kind of a revelation to me, I guess, in terms of all this. And I think I think I missed here before we even got into the music was so Deloyd Elze is a stage name. It's not your given name. I would love
Yeah.
to hear the story about how you kind of picked that name and how it came to be.
Yeah, for sure. So Deloyd Elze is my great grandfather's name. Uh, I used to have a project before where I'd had a bunch of this music. I was same house. I like essentially I had backlogged a bunch of music and I needed to just like put it out. So
Oh,
I put out this record under Cave Diver, and it was sort of like a cleanse. It was like at that point like I didn't have any music that I had written. There wasn't any sort of anything that I could like fall on as far as like the next thing. It was like, okay, I'm like really starting fresh. And another band in LA came out as Cave Diver, but they were like Cave Space Diver.
no.
And yeah, and they also had like I think there was a member of like Deaf Heaven in them, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna die on this hill.
Right.
And at the same time too, I think musically I was changing and I was trying to like look for different stuff. And the very first thing that got written for the Deloyd Elze project was God's Cruel Joke, and it was like once that kind of fell into like our laps, we were kind of like, okay, this is like way different. This is definitely like a different thing, and it felt for the first time that it was a representation of like me as far as like what I was trying to put out into the world and what I was trying to like kind of put on earth. And I was like, okay, this deserves a name that feels like not just like a throwaway. And I was like, okay, I have never met another Deloyd Elze
Yeah.
on this earth.
100%.
Uh, and it to me it's a really beautiful name, and I don't know, there's just there felt something really like connected to me about it, and like kind of who he was as a person. Like he was a complicated person, but he was like a very much like a figure of like my mom's family. Like,
Mm.
And so there was like this, I don't know, kind of interesting thing of like taking on the name and sort of like putting my, I don't know, energy and sort of like love into it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I mean, I think I know for me especially too. Like my grandmother was like a huge piece of my life, and I don't know if I per se would name a project after her, but like she definitely is carries through what how can I operate, so I think
Hmm.
that's beautiful to like kind of owed back to somebody who means something in your life, and to kind of connect yourself into your roots really far. So in terms of your musical style, how would you describe because genres are so hard these days, how would you describe the music you're kind of putting out now?
Yeah, yeah, that's the $1 million question. I feel like I was describing it last night to a friend where I think my goal musically is to almost have this like two cards like kind of making a pyramid, and one card is songwriting and melody and storytelling, and the other side is production and sort of how that story is told.
Yeah.
And they have to be at almost like a 50-50 sort of percentage, and if one falls the other one falls, so it's like it doesn't really work. And that's kind of this sort of I don't know, quest I've been on as far as like a writer and an artist. And my the way who I am and I can't get around is country music.
Hmm.
It's just three chords and it's storytelling. I would say I find that most people, when I tell that this is country music, their first inclination is like, oh, like they think, like on the radio or like top 40
Hmm.
stuff. And it's really interesting where, yeah, if I say country music or if I say electronic, both of those genres to me, like the first thing that people think of is like, oh, like, yeah, like radio and top 40, but it's more of like the subgenres of both of those genres
Yeah.
are like at an intersection. And again, like making it so where it's almost like, like indistinguishable of like one or the other. And it's just, I don't know, it's experimentation and it's
Hmm.
fun. It's like it's cool to see like what you can sort of with a bunch of friends like make.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the cool part about like genres these days is they're taking so many elements from so many different things, and yeah, you're right. I don't think at all what you make is like top 40 country music by any means, but
Mm,
it definitely sits in this like subgenre of country music that I think is growing like every day. Like this storytelling, this
mm,
like raw, um, just storytelling in the sense of you know it's kind of more roots based, and I love that. Honestly, it's like the music I gravitate towards, and I think a music that will continue to kind of grow, from what I've seen at least.
mm.
So when obviously you release music for a little bit of time now, but is there like any real big nerves on release day when we're putting out a song, or is it just kind of you're happy to be kind of moving on to the next project?
I've been sort of noticing this like pattern either like within myself or like other people where I think with releases I have sort of like trained myself to I guess not be precious about things. And I think for me the happiest moment of music, for lack of a better term, but the happiest moment to me is like while writing the song and then performing it. But the sort of everything else in between is kind of give or take. It's like it could be cool, it could be not. Uh, and so like releasing, like of course I'm excited. Like I want to put this out in the world. I want to share it with people. But I don't know. I think in my head I'm just like so. And there's another discrepancy too of like when something is released to when you made it. There's all this
Yeah,
time that's
yeah,
in between it, right?
yep,
Uh, so you almost forget about it. You're like, oh yeah, I guess like I've got this song
yeah,
coming out. Not to say that I'm not excited and really, really, really stoked on it. Like this song that's coming out. Oh man, clearly I'm like really invested in like
Yeah.
when the song comes out.
Right.
It's January 24th. And it's really sick because I have a bunch of like friends and me are getting together to just like record very much in an old school like country style, record videos of each other doing duets of this song.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
there's like a bunch of friends who are like just I'm getting together with. So it's just an excuse to hang out with my friends
Yeah.
and do music. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I releasing is an interesting thing, and maybe that's like a defense mechanism I've like developed over time, where it's like you like
Try not
put
to be
something
too
out.
attached to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, now, in terms of like, you mentioned about making these videos with your friends. Is that in term when it comes to songwriting and making music, are you more of a collaborator, or you sometimes want to be kind of left to your own devices?
It depends. Like I think the times that I have written with people where something like good comes out takes a lot of time, like developing a relationship with a person where I find to make good music, this isn't always the case, but for me to make good music is like I have to feel at a place where I can like be vulnerable with somebody and feel like I can make a mistake or be an idiot or say
Hmm.
something dumb. And that takes a lot of just trust with two people. I would say like for the Deloyd Elze project, most of the time it's just me banging my head against the wall, being like, "Okay, I'm here. Like,
Yeah.
you wanna drop something? Like, I
Right.
could use something right now." And then it's like once I get it to where it's like not so um, just like grotesque. It's like it's not just me like it's like an actual thing.
Yeah.
There's a foundation of something where it
Sure.
could go to a place. Then it's usually like my buddies Aaron and Will are like really close collaborators, and I love their taste and like how they approach art. I'll usually like show it to them first and be like, "What do you guys think?" Like essentially like the sort of
Thumbs up,
like
thumbs down.
yeah, and it's never I've never had them be like this is awful. Don't do anything.
Right.
But I've it's been like oh, what if you try this, or like what if you try this, and that to me is fun. Where it's like then the collaboration starts as far as where an idea can go.
Do in that same aspect, I guess, do you kind of find the social media piece of being an artist to be, are you enjoying that piece of life, or is it like, kind of the take it or leave it?
Uh, it's hard to say. I feel like if I am going to do it, I'm going to do it on my own terms.
Yeah,
And that is probably the most Deloyd Elze, not even me, like the actual dude, like thing I could say.
right.
Where I believe that there is an element to it that you can, and this is gonna sound so pretentious, but like there's an element to it where you can still do it and be artistic and still be like creative, and you don't necessarily have to be like uh, I think I find a lot of friends of mine who approach this thing and it's like shotgun theory. It's like every day, every second, and it's like I don't think we're built like that. I think we're built to sort of over time like ingest different ideas and different sort of things, and I feel like I get really excited when I think about like there's this director that I've been sort of like really just kind of found, not like found, he's been around for a long time, but this guy name is Les Blank.
Hmm.
And he did this like Leon Russell documentary back in I want to say either late 60s or 70s, called A Poem is a Naked Person. And it is probably one of the most like beautiful documentaries I've ever seen. And like it's not to me, it didn't seem like it was even really about Leon Russell. It was more about like the place that he was sort of orbiting and like the people in the community he was around and what he was sort of like building.
Yeah,
And like in the documentary, there's maybe two moments where Les interviews Leon, and you don't even see his face. Like it's just all pre-laughed. It's like, and it's all these beautiful shots of like the sun setting over the water and like a bird flying and like, and to me like that tells more of the story of like who this guy was than if you were actually like talking to him.
right.
Uh, it's sort of like a feeling rather than like an explanation.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh, Sorry, that was also like I feel like you
you're good.
start like I answered the question and
You're
then I went
good. It's okay. That's what we're here
Yeah.
for. It's like
Mm.
you do see like a little bit of both with artists, right? Like you see that shotgun theory where people are just like throwing as much against the wall as humanly possible to
Mm.
try to get something to stick, and then there are like a handful of artists that like come to mind for me that I feel like either found like a really fun way to do it, and
Mm.
it's made something really good for them, or they're like these super artistic approaches, like kind of like you were talking about to social media, and again have kind of like found their own success in that way as well. So there's a bunch of different ways to go about it, and I don't envy any way that artists have to do that, right? Because like you're focused on one piece of art, and then you have to decide whether you want to try to do it uh, again from through social media to have to market yourself. It's a very rough landscape to think about at times.
There's also an element too, and I don't know, this might come back to bite me in the ass, but like me complaining about social media is also the most privileged thing that anyone can talk about, right?
Yeah,
Like, oh God, I have to like post a TikTok. Like, wow, that I'm not waking up at 7 a.m. anymore going to a construction site. Like,
right. I feel that.
so it like the pendulum swings, I guess, always is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
yeah. I
So,
guess a little perspective definitely helps in that space, right?
hmm.
It's easy to get lost in like the micro of what your day looks like now, as opposed to what it did look like.
Mm, yeah.
That's a good point. So some questions I do like getting a little more fun. A little more fun.
These have all been fun. What are you talking? I'm having a
You
great time.
if you were teaching a music class and you had to put 4 or 5 albums that were required for people to listen to, that would kind of uh, you know
Oh,
tell people
damn.
your taste, what 4 or 5 albums would be on that list?
To tell people my taste, or to tell people like,
A little bit of
or just like right now, like what I'm kind of into.
just like 4 or 5 albums that are like essential to your life, I guess.
Essential to my life. Damn, that's hard. Uh, there is a record by this guy named Blake Mills called Break Mirrors. That's like I put that record on for like, I'll still put it on. I guess is what I'm trying to
Mhm.
say. It's really, really good stuff. John Prine's first record. And I forget the title of it, but it's the one of him sitting on the haystack.
Yeah, what is the title of that? I forget.
I think it might just be a self-titled record. Man, that's hard because there's like friends of mine right now who've like put out records that I'm like just super inspired by. Uh, four record. Oh man, that's so hard. Ah, damn. Okay. I feel like there's got to be the Boney Bear record on there. Like 22 Million is also like a really that kind of shook me to my core. Okay, and the last record, the fourth record. Now I'm thinking of like my dad would take me to school in his truck, and he had a collection of CDs like in the console, and I would always pick from him. And there was a Ray Charles like Essentials
Yeah.
that was in there that I would always pick. It was either the Ray Charles CD or there was an Alan Jackson CD, which is also just hilarious. But I think
What a
I'll just go
mix,
with Ray
yeah.
Charles.
What a,
There is a Ray Charles record called Modern Sounds and Country Music.
mhm.
It's a record. It's a red background. He's like kind of in the front, and he's just doing all these like old country standards. But
Yeah.
it's the one where I Can't Stop Loving You is on his cover.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, like an amazing record.
That's a good eclectic mix, and maybe that's not
Mm.
one of the funner questions because I feel like people usually like a little struggle on it, and again, I don't know if I could name 4 or 5 off the top of my head either. So I get it. It's a tough ask right on the spot.
No, no, it is fun. It's like also sorry, I'm just like
You're fine.
shaking like my creamer. It's a fun question because it's like hard to sort of like be like okay, because right now like I'm on like a huge Fela Kuti tip because I've been listening to this podcast called Fear No Man, and it's like a 13-part series about him, his life,
Yeah.
his mom, which was also an amazing person. Just like kind of how he was like operating in Nigeria at the time is like
Yeah.
really wild. So now I'm like just like kind of, yeah, dipping
Deep
my
into
toes.
that.
Yeah.
That's funny. What about, in terms of being an artist in general, right? What do you find to be like, what's the most rewarding parts of being an artist? And then maybe what's, on the second half, what's maybe the most exhausting piece of being an artist?
Let's see. The most rewarding is definitely playing music with my friends. Playing like some of the people that I've been playing with almost like 10 years at this point. Uh, and that feels really special and really beautiful where it's uh, like that friend who I've been playing with 10 years, like I've seen him get married and have his first kid, and we're like still, making music in the garage
Oh yeah, I
and
love that.
playing shows. And it's not, I know, and maybe that's the other part that makes it so sweet is I know it's not forever, right? It's like you can't do it forever. You can always pick up an instrument and make music wherever, but as far as like playing shows and touring, like, there can be a cap on that. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's what makes it so good is it's so precious and it's
Hmm.
so like, all right, this is awesome. Like I get to just hang out with my friends and get sort of rewarded for
Yeah.
that. Recording is always super, super fun because it feels like, at least with this crew, it's like you're on like new ground and you're just sort of like, I don't know, you're digging around in the mud trying
Hmm.
to make something pretty. Uh, and then the exhausting parts. Uh, to be honest with you, like, and I'm not trying to be like the like Labrador guy, but it's like I feel just really grateful that I get to do this.
Yeah.
And I've been making music for like at this rate like 10 years, and I think in the past maybe year, the burner kind of finally clicked on.
Hmm.
And it's an interesting feeling where it's like, oh, like I've just been doing the same things that I've been doing for the past like decade.
Yeah.
It's just now that people are like, oh, like, whoa, that's really cool what you do, and it feels like funny to me, I guess, in a way where it's like, oh, you're like paying attention. That's really, yeah, that's really crazy.
Right.
Um, and like, sure, like, days are long. Touring is so fun, but it can be hard. Like, it can be hard on like obviously with my relationship, I'm about to go now and I'm gonna be gone for probably like a month and some change.
Yeah.
And that's not even a long time. That's like
Yeah.
baby steps.
Yeah.
And it's getting used to that and sort of like, you know, uh just sort of like recalibrating like, all the stuff that comes with that. But I don't know, I feel really good about where I'm at in my life, and like I just feel grateful to keep making art. Like that's a really cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. What about this song? Maybe it could be released, unreleased. What song are you most proud of?
Ooh, there is a song that will probably come out on this next record that I wrote like during COVID a really long time ago, and it's a song called North Florida. Um, and it's been one of those songs that is like kind of never left. Where it used to be, it was like a cave diver song, and I sort of like kind of thought I'd like put it to bed, and even like members of the band were like, "Hey, we should revisit that. Like there is something to this one." And I've played it at shows before. We played a show in New York, I think in November, and the show was kind of it wasn't a train wreck. It was just like second song in, I break a string, and then I like kind of Hail Mary out to the crowd, like, does anybody have a guitar that I can play? And my friend Camille Schmidt like brings me a guitar, and I'm like flustered and like sort of like riding the horse at this point,
Yeah.
and we play that song, and by the end of it, I was kind of like a little deflated. I was like, oh man, like we came out all the way to New York, like I wanted to play like a good show. but multiple people, like Camille and then my other friend Hudson came up and they were like, what is that song? And I was like, oh, it's like an old and I'm like, obviously, I'm like
Right.
deflated, so I don't like want to talk. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's whatever. It's like an old song. And I don't know. It's just funny to me that that one in particular, like, kind of keeps getting people's ears perk up and they're like interested in it.
Yeah.
And it's all really like it's kind of, like I don't want to. There's almost like an element to it where it's like if I explain the song, it kind of ruins the magic of the song. But it is like the joke that I always tell before it is like it's like a Law and Order episode where all the stories are true, but I've changed the names to protect the innocent.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, and so it's just like kind of a story song. Like there's really no like chorus, it's just verses.
Hmm.
And then there's like sort of a instrumental turnaround that has like a kind of motif in it. And then it just sort of just does that three times and then it's out. Like
Yeah. I love that.
yeah.
Uh, well, yeah, I'm excited to hear that one. That one sounds really interesting, honestly. Like the whole concept of no chorus and just verses is definitely interesting. So obviously, I live my life in music curation, so I always love asking to a song or an artist that you've really been into recently.
Oh, that I've been into recently. There is an artist out of they used to be out of New York, but they've now moved to Washington, and they're called Walker. It's Wallker, and they are like an ambient electronic artist. And I had first heard them through my friend Aaron, where he was on some like Discord, and like this guy was like, "Oh, I like worked on this record." And usually, right, it's a dice roll. It's like you don't know
50-50
if it's gonna
shot.
hit. Yeah, I would even argue less than 50-50. And so he hit on it, and he was like, dog. He like sent it to me. He was like, dude, you gotta check this out. Like
Yeah.
this is so good. And when it came time to like uh, when we were making the first EP, I don't know if I can. I probably can't say this because anyhow, I was at my old spot. I was high, and I was like laying in bed, and I was like, I think I could just like DM this guy. Like, because I need to find somebody to mix the CP. I think I could just ask them.
Yeah.
So I really just like cold DM them, like, hey, I'm a fan. Like, I love the way your stuff sounds. Like,
Yeah.
do you want to like, and it never ended up like becoming a working relationship. But when I went out to New York, I ended up meeting up with them and like
Yeah.
got to meet them as a person. And they're just an awesome, awesome person. And yeah, anyway, I'm just like a huge fan of their music.
Love that.
I feel like more people should be paying attention to what they're doing because it's really really sick.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'll definitely have to give it a listen. It's like
Mm.
my favorite thing is to find what artists are listening to because you guys have your own particular too. So it's always nice to hear those kind of things. So I guess kind of in wrapping up, what can we look forward to? I think you got a record or an EP at the very least coming out shortly. What can we look forward to?
Yeah, I am in February, which is next month, which is crazy to say out loud. I'm going to Deloyd's house to cut this record.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Me and a bunch of my friends are just gonna go to his house that he built. It was like he had built it the last 3 years of his life, and then after he passed away, it got passed, down into my family because it was almost just for sentimental reasons. Like it kind of became a thing of like what because all my mom's family is like down in South Florida.
Yeah.
No one really lives in like Grady County anymore. There's some of like Deloyd was like one of I want to say like 17. There's a lot of kids.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and then my like grandma was one of seven. So like there's a lot of family.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, so I probably have relatives there that I don't even know that were related, kind of deal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But anywho, so we're gonna go out there in February. It's gonna be really funny seeing a bunch of like people who are from all over. Like no one here has been to South Georgia besides myself.
Right.
So it's gonna be so fun to see just how people are like, oh, whoa, this is what it's like. We're gonna cut the record there. We're gonna play South by Southwest in March, which we're all really stoked about. We're playing Luck Reunion, which is at Willie Nelson's ranch, which is so sick.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the day after. And I think this is all fair game to say, but like we through Luck Reunion, we cut a couple Willie Nelson songs because they're doing a re-release of Redheaded Stranger because this year is the 50th year
Yeah.
anniversary of the record. So I think they're gonna press maybe like 100 records, and like me and Aaron are we did Denver and Over the Waves on the record,
Nice.
and we're just like really stoked. I'm like, I'm late to Willie Nelson, but Aaron and his dad is like the biggest Willie fan, so
Yeah.
he's like freaking out, which I think is also really rad. We love it when dads freak out.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah. It's nice to have your dad excited about something, or his dad,
Hmm.
at the very least. Well, yeah, man, I'm excited to hear the record when it comes out, and I think I might end up down in South by Southwest, so
Hmm.
catch you down there too. But yeah, appreciate you taking time out of your morning. Hopefully,
Oh, this was easy.
hopefully it gets better from here, and yeah, man, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you too, Matt. Yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I appreciate you, yeah, even just making the time to do this. This is
Yeah,
really awesome.
absolutely.
Hey,
Um,
I just